Hello ladies, gentlemen, furries, welcome back to another episode of refusing to use CapCut because you are Sisyphus and instead choose to suffer. I'm like Guts from Berserk, but instead of mummy issues, it's keyframing. You may have noticed on this channel it's been getting a little serious for a while, but with the 1 year and everything is romantic video, it's shifted more to just me talking and not trying to fix issues, which is a change that has happened consciously. You may have also noticed that half of the videos on this channel have disappeared, but we'll talk about that another time. Today, I want to talk about imposter syndrome. Since the start of this very small channel, I've had phases where I felt like I wasn't really ready or knowledgeable to talk about more serious topics, which for a while is what I exclusively covered in the quotation mark style videos, and that came from a level of imposter syndrome. I'm only 21 years old, and while I have lived a lot, I recognize there is a lot that I haven't experienced, and when I'm making content where I am trying to sort of answer a question that's been posed, it's then really easy to get caught up in the idea of, oh, I need to experience more before I talk about this. And don't get me wrong, I recognize to a certain extent that this isn't a bad thing, right? I believe things would be better if people question themselves before posting online more, but the reason I think this is more imposter syndrome is that, like, it's entirely unrealistic to restrict yourself from expressing until you have experienced every angle of something, because simply that's not how it works. We're always learning. We all have our own experiences, and if I'm honest, sharing that I've always found as one of the greatest gifts that we can give each other. As we all know, I'm trans. Sorry, had to bring it up again. And I've been very honest about that on this channel. And while that's something that I carry weird emotions around still, which I'm not going to get into in this video, that's an experience that I have that others might not. If I had never shared the viewpoints that I've built based off of what experience that's given me, then one, I would be incredibly isolated, and two, people may not know the struggles that trans people go through. I think to a certain level we all get imposter syndrome. It can come through in a few different ways. Some have it like a voice in the back of their head telling them that they don't deserve what's happening to them, in like a good way. They don't deserve what they receive. Another is feeling like you're tricking people into liking you, or, you know, not feeling like you're good at what you do. And that last one I can especially relate to. I haven't been around for a long time. I like to think I'm still quite young, and I've had some successes, and almost every time I have met it with a feeling of, oh, I'm lucky. And while yes, there is a baseline level of luck in every success, you have to put yourself in the position to receive the luck in the first place before the success happens. Some of you may have heard the phrase, luck is when preparation meets opportunity. And in many ways I do think this is true, but the preparation, the work, is required in the first place. I don't know if any of you have read the book. I think it's called Outliers. This guy wrote about how the Beatles played in dingy bars for 10 years before they were anything, when there was like no logical reason for them to do it. They just did it because they cared about it. And then, you know, once they got their break, that work that they'd put in the whole time actually turned out to be very useful for them. And that work, that background work that realistically makes no sense to do, and only is born out of someone like caring about doing something like playing music or creating art or painting, that deserves credit. I understand once you actually receive the thing you work so hard for, it's so easy to chalk it up to luck or a level of people congratulating you more than you deserve, because to admit you got what you deserved means that you deserved something, which for some of us is hard to admit. I think imposter syndrome comes not only from inside but outside. I've spoken before about the importance of having goals and how that gives us purpose. But I think a sort of trick is that we believe once we achieve those things, we will feel different. If I get a promotion, if I get a certain grade or, you know, certain recognition, then I'll feel better about myself. When I found this isn't usually the case, well, it isn't for me. I'm very much like, wow, that was cool for 5 minutes, and then moving on and feel weird when people congratulate me. Doubt is also just a part of the human experience. The insanely confident, perfect narrative that can be found online definitely has done something to stigmatize that in some way, I believe. The internet leads itself to extremes, right, because of the way narratives are pushed. This means that you rarely see like the middle of the road, because that's not what gets people talking. The influencers of the world tend to portray either emotional turmoil or a complete lack of emotion, because either way, those extremes are more engaging than someone that just has it figured out and is quite content with things. And I think that's where it's important to discern the difference between doubt and imposter syndrome. I'm trying to talk about doubt, like wondering if you will achieve the goal, not constantly questioning what you've received and not believing that you deserve it. That's imposter syndrome. And I think trusting yourself has a part to do with it. If you suffer with not trusting yourself, I can't tell you where that comes from. That's something so deeply ingrained. But a few things that really helped me sort of build up that trust with myself is realizing that I see every minute of every episode of every season, which is the TV show of my life. I live in my brain. You live in your brain. We all know the little dark corners, and this level of information doesn't fit the very tailored and shiny tales of success and acceptance that we hear about and see all around us. When you see someone doing well, you see them doing well. You don't see them breaking down about how hard they're working or, how much of their job's getting to them. You don't see that side of stuff, unless obviously you're friends with that person, but you get what I mean. The Instagram influencers will not talk about the days when they barely scrape by. And secondly, I think your response to success is more important than you think it is. I don't think you can underestimate what that means, the reflection that it's showing. I've mentioned this a little bit already, but it's something that I never really gave much attention, that I absolutely should have. Spoiler alert, chat. It's not normal to completely dismiss the nice things people say about you. Well, obviously I live in the UK and there is some pressure to do this because we're very humble and apathetic here. So culturally there is some of that instilled in me, but the fact that my natural response to being told good job or that I'm a hard worker is to say oh, hardly, and generally believe the person is just nice or a liar, shows that, maybe there is something going on there. If you can't accept a compliment, there's probably a reason for that. Thirdly and finally, if you can't take a compliment or, when people tell you good job, you really struggle to believe them, it would make sense if you also felt unappreciated and probably not confident, because I think those things tie together a lot, and I think it's sort of a fulfilling cycle of you do something good, you don't believe them, and then you don't believe you can do anything good, and it sort of spirals until the imposter syndrome sort of spirals out of control. Before I get out of here, people seem to generally equate confidence to adeptness or discipline, the idea that you can work hard enough and achieve something, then finally you'll be enough, which couldn't be further from the truth. Confidence is something I've learned that, yes, comes from action, but it's much more internal than people suggest. You hear that some people, lose weight and it makes them 10 times more confident, and that may be true, but that's more surface level, and the inner securities are much more personal and require a much deeper level of searching compared to the basic things such as, fixing skincare or, washing your hair properly. Looking good helps you feel good, but when you fundamentally don't believe you deserve things, you're absolutely glowing, radiant skin. It's not going to help you, babe, I'm sorry. No matter what, I hope that you realize you're worthy of love. Not love in success, not love in beauty, not love in service, but as you are. Grubby toenails, greasy hair, whatever. I can't think of anything else to name. Athlete's foot and all, you deserve it, okay? You deserve love. But until next time, fellas, and ladies, I've been Penny. You know the drill. Pull over if you get tired, call me back, and bye.